Jamaica's inflation rate is at a new low. That's according to the co-chairman of the Economic Program Oversight Committee, EPOC, Richard Biles. Mr. Biles says the low inflation rate for September is a drop from the figure recorded in August.
Inflation, 0.4% for September, which is pretty low. If you multiply 0.4 by 12, that's less than 5% annualized. But the 0.4 is down from 0.8 in August. So a good month for inflation. The main things that pushed inflation in September was education. Costs of going to school, college, books and so forth, up 5.3%. Food was up a little bit, 1.1, in particular starchy food, which is a direct result of the drought. But electricity was down, courtesy of oil prices, and transportation down also 1%, again, courtesy of oil prices. For the calendar year to date, that is from January to September, inflation is 2.6%. And for the trailing 12 months, so September this year back to August of last year, it is 3.3%.
Mr. Biles knows that the rate of inflation is competitively comparable to that of the United States.
When you compare our inflation to that of the U.S., U.S. has had inflation in the period January to September of 0.5%, and we have had 2.6%. So the differential between the two is 2.1. The depreciation in our currency in that period has been 3.8%. And so there is a small gain in competitiveness of 1.7%. So our devaluation has run ahead of the difference between our inflation and U.S. inflation by about 1.7%. I think that inflation for this calendar year could close out at anywhere between 5 to 5.5%. So I don't expect that 2.6 to grow much more for the rest of the calendar year.
And on the topic of being competitive, Jamaica advanced 7 places in the latest World Bank Doing Business report. Out of 184 countries, Jamaica moved to 64 from 71, which it placed last year. Jamaica ranks in the top 10 performing countries in 2015 and is the number 1 performing country in the Caribbean. But while Jamaica is performing well in the area of doing business, business confidence on the island has dropped. This is evidenced in Jamaica Chamber of Commerce survey of business confidence.
The business confidence index fell from 128.2 to 110.6, and the consumer confidence index fell from 114 to 103.9. So these are not small changes, they are quite significant. And so I wouldn't say that they are statistical or within statistical error. They are quite significant. And the main reason given for that fall off is the slow growth. Are we really having economic growth? I don't feel it. I don't really see it. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel? It's that kind of feeling. Maybe too, a bit of uncertainty from the politicking that is going on, because it seems elections are pretty close. So maybe that feeds into these results a bit. Interestingly, the stock exchange index for the period July to September, which is the period that the index is measuring, that too fell. Didn't fall by a lot, it only fell by 0.9%, but nonetheless, it retreated in that period. However, from January to September, the stock market index has risen 26%, and from January to October, 72%.